You wake up before sunrise to a sound that doesn't belong, a low growl, not from a wolf ready to attack, from one standing just beyond the edge of the firelight, watching, waiting. Its yellow eyes never leave you, neither do yours. For almost all of human history, that moment could have ended in blood. Wolves were among the most efficient predators on Earth, faster than you, stronger than you, able to smell prey from kilometers away. Yet somehow, over thousands of years, those dangerous hunters transformed into the animal now sleeping peacefully on millions of couches around the world. Here's the strange part. Ancient humans never set out to invent dogs. They didn't have breeding manuals, they didn't build kennels, they didn't even know genetics existed. And yet, by simply surviving, your ancestors accidentally created the first entirely new species shaped by human civilization. How could something so ordinary today begin with one of the wildest predators of the Ice Age? The answer changes the way you see both dogs and yourself. Around 30,000 to 15,000 years ago, during the late Pleistocene, humans shared the landscape with enormous mammals, harsh winters, and packs of grey wolves. The exact date of dog domestication remains debated, but archaeological discoveries from sites in Europe and Siberia suggest that the partnership began surprisingly early. Ancient DNA studies led by researchers such as Gregor Larson and colleagues have revealed that the story was not a single event, but a long evolutionary process stretching across thousands of years. Now, fair question, why would wolves ever approach humans? Food. Not because humans were feeding them on purpose, because humans left behind waste. Imagine a successful hunt, a mammoth, a reindeer, a giant bison. Even after your ancestors stripped away every useful piece of meat, marrow, hide, and tendon, scraps remained. Bones, organs, tiny fragments impossible to use efficiently. To a hungry wolf, that campsite became the richest buffet in the frozen world. Most wolves never dared to get close. They stayed in the darkness. They waited until humans left. But every population contains variation. Some wolves were naturally less fearful, not braver, just slightly calmer. Instead of running hundreds of meters away, they stayed 50, then 30, then 20. Those tiny differences changed everything. Natural selection is simply the process where individuals with helpful traits leave behind more offspring. In this case, the helpful trait wasn't sharper teeth or stronger muscles, it was tolerance. The wolves least afraid of humans gained easier access to food. They survived harsh winters more often. They raised more pups. Generation after generation, the boldest wolves disappeared because they challenged humans directly. The calmest wolves prospered because they kept their distance while accepting human presence. Could something as simple as being a little less afraid reshape an entire species? It already had. This wasn't human engineering. It was evolution happening right beside the campfire. One of the most famous scientific demonstrations supporting this idea came thousands of years later in Siberia. Geneticist Dmitry Belyaev selectively bred foxes based only on one characteristic: friendliness toward humans. After surprisingly few generations, those foxes developed floppy ears, curled tails, spotted coats, and playful personalities. Here's the thing, no one selected their ears, no one selected their tails. Changing behavior unexpectedly changed the body itself. Scientists call this the domestication syndrome. It describes a collection of physical changes that often appear when animals become less aggressive. While researchers continue debating the exact biological mechanisms, the pattern appears repeatedly across domesticated species. Your ancestors never understood hormones, neural crest cells, or genetics, but evolution did. As wolves became calmer, something remarkable happened. The distance between predator and human grew smaller. Children noticed curious pups lingering nearby. Adults noticed wolves barking when strangers approached. Hunters noticed something even more valuable. Wolves could hear danger long before humans could. Imagine sleeping in complete darkness with no walls, no locks, no alarms, only fire, only stars, only silence. Then suddenly a young wolf growls. Everyone wakes up. A cave lion passes without attacking. That single warning could save an entire family. No schedule, no alarm, No electricity, just ears better than your own. The partnership deepened. Humans tolerated certain wolves. Wolves tolerated certain humans. Neither side signed an agreement. Neither side understood the future. Yet each benefited enough to keep the relationship going. Archaeological discoveries support this growing bond. At Bonn Oberkassel in Germany, researchers uncovered a burial around 14,000 years old, containing 2 humans and a young dog. Careful analysis revealed that the animal had suffered from canine distemper, a dangerous viral disease. It likely survived only because humans cared for it during weeks of severe illness. Think about that. Food was never guaranteed. Winter was brutal. Every piece of meat mattered, yet someone shared precious resources with a sick animal that could contribute almost nothing. Why? Because by then the relationship had become something more than convenience. Compassion had entered the story. Could affection itself become an evolutionary force? Perhaps it already had. As centuries passed, humans unknowingly shaped wolf evolution in new ways. The friendliest animals stayed near camps. The aggressive ones disappeared. Puppies born around humans learned human behavior from birth. Humans preferred certain personalities. Without realizing it, they became selective breeders, not through science, through everyday choices. One family kept the gentle pup. Another chased away the aggressive one. A hunter favored the animal that stayed close. A child fed the curious puppy instead of throwing stones. Thousands of tiny decisions accumulated across generations. Evolution doesn't always require grand events. Sometimes it begins with leftovers, sometimes with kindness, sometimes with a single puppy that didn't run away. As dogs changed, humans changed too. Researchers increasingly believe that dogs transformed hunting itself. A dog's nose contains hundreds of millions of scent receptors, far more than a human's. Even conservative estimates show an extraordinary advantage in smell. They could track wounded animals through forests, locate prey hidden beneath snow, and warn hunters about predators beyond sight. That partnership meant more successful hunts, more meat, more surviving children, larger communities. Eventually, dogs spread alongside humans across continents, from Arctic tundra to dense forests. From deserts to mountains, every environment produced new challenges, and dogs adapted with astonishing speed. Some became sled pullers, some became guardians, some specialized in tracking, others excelled at herding animals thousands of years after agriculture emerged. The incredible diversity seen today, from tiny chihuahuas to towering Great Danes, grew from that ancient partnership between cautious wolves and curious humans. Yet beneath every breed lies the same ancestor, the grey wolf. Modern genetic research continues refining this story. Ancient DNA extracted from prehistoric dog bones has revealed that domestication was more complex than once believed. Different populations mixed. Early dog lineages sometimes disappeared, others survived and spread. Scientists still debate exactly where domestication first occurred, whether in Europe, Asia, or multiple regions. Science rarely offers simple endings. Instead, each discovery uncovers new questions. But one conclusion remains remarkably consistent. Dogs domesticated themselves first. Humans only guided the process later. That idea overturns one of the oldest assumptions about civilization. People often imagine ancient humans as masters forcing nature into submission. Reality looks very different. Your ancestors observed, adapted, responded. Instead of conquering wolves, they formed an alliance so successful that it reshaped 2 species forever. Dogs learned to read human expressions with extraordinary accuracy. Modern studies show that dogs follow pointing gestures better than even our closest primate relatives in many situations. They recognize emotional cues, facial expressions, and vocal tones in ways uniquely adapted to living alongside people. But the adaptation flowed both directions. Humans evolved emotionally as well. Looking into a dog's eyes can increase oxytocin levels, often called the bonding hormone, in both species. This biological feedback strengthens attachment much like the bond between parent and child. A partnership that began over discarded bones eventually became one of the deepest emotional relationships in the animal kingdom. Isn't that astonishing? The world's first best friend may have started as a scavenger lurking just outside the firelight. Every wagging tail carries echoes of frozen nights, smoky camps, and uncertain mornings. Every playful bark traces back to wolves that chose curiosity over fear. Every loyal companion beside your feet represents thousands of generations of mutual trust. The story was never about taming monsters. It was about changing together. Humans gave wolves opportunity. Wolves gave humans protection. Humans offered food. Wolves offered senses beyond human limits. Neither species became weaker. Both became stronger together. So the next time a dog looks into your eyes, remember that you are witnessing one of evolution's greatest success stories. Not because one species conquered another, but because both discovered that cooperation could outperform competition. You wake up before sunrise to a sound that doesn't belong. Today, it might simply be your dog stretching beside the bed. Safe, comfortable, protected. That quiet moment feels ordinary only because thousands of generations before you transformed fear into friendship. Perhaps the greatest invention of ancient humans was never a tool, a weapon, or a fire. It was trust. And while your ancestors built that trust under open skies with no walls, no schedules, and no artificial deadlines, modern life often surrounds you with notifications instead of instincts, meetings instead of meaningful connection, and constant urgency instead of quiet companionship. The oldest friendship in human history reminds you that survival was never only about working harder. Sometimes it was simply about slowing down long enough to recognize an ally where everyone else saw only a threat.